Now that we have our clean methods in place, we need to start looking at what we need to do to actually register a user in the system and create a new one. If we open up our views.py file and head over to our registration view, then we need to implement some of the similar logic that we used in our login form. So, for example, the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to say if if request.user is authenticated, then we're going to redirect them to the index page, because there's no point in a user that's already registered going over to the registration page. And then again, we want to check to see if the request dot method was a post. And if it was a post, then we need to instantiate the registration form using the values contained within the request post method. So we say registration form is equal to user registration form, and then we pass in the values from request dot post. The next thing that we need to do here is we need to say if registration form dot is valid, then we want to say user is equal to auth or user is equal to user.registration.save. And because we already specified the model, registration form.save, and because we already specified the model inside of our meta class on our registration form, we don't need to specify model again here. The next thing that we need to do after this, actually, yeah, we can get rid of the user there. We don't need to return the user. So after that, what we can do is we can say user is equal to auth.authenticate. So once we've created the user, then we're just going to log the user in. So username is equal to request.post. And the same again here, we just use username. And then once again, same as in the login, we just say password is equal to request.post and password as the key. Password 1. Because our form has password 1 and password 2 this time around. So one thing we need to do here is we need to put an else statement in case the it's a get method, in which case we'll just instantiate an empty registration form. So if our user has been authenticated, then we want to do auth.login. We say username is user is equal to user, and request is equal to request. Then we want to display that message to our user. So we want to say messages.success. We pass through the request and the message that we want to say. So you have been successfully logged in. Or you have successfully logged in. You have successfully registered. And then we just want to redirect them back to the index page. Otherwise, we want to display a message to say that there's been some kind of error and that we can't log them in. So when we pass through the request, and we're going to say unable to register your account at this time. And that's all there is to it. So if I save my code then and head back to the browser and head over to registration page, and I type in my email address and the name of the username that I want to create, and then I'll enter in my password, and I'll confirm my password. I can see that I've successfully registered. I can log out, and I can register again. Notice if I put in the same email address, we should get some fails here in the validation. So an email address must be unique, and a username with that username already exists. So both of those fields must be unique in order to create a user. So if I say email address aaron@example.com and change it to username aaron3, let's put in some jargon password, and it says passwords must match because the passwords I entered didn't match. And that's our password validation in place. So I'm gonna just log in now using my admin password, and then I'm going to head over to the admin panel, and if I head into users, then we can see that a new user has in fact been created, username of Aaron2.